So here at Broughton, as part of the rewilding project, we're carrying out lots of interventions. We're doing lots of things to kickstart the recovery of nature. And one of those things relates to the watercourses, to the streams that are coming off the hills. We are attempting to restore a more natural system, because historically a lot of these streams have been deepened and widened, and the way the land has been managed means that the water's rushing off the land much more quickly than it would do naturally. So we are now taking part in a natural flood management programme, which is funded by the Environment Agency to help reduce flood risk further downstream in Leeds and other cities in the River Aire catchment. And as part of that natural flood management programme, we are installing these bunds in this gully on the moor, which historically would have rushed water off, as it has been doing until recently, off the moor very quickly as it erodes gradually deeper and deeper into the peat. By restoring these bunds, we are helping to slow the flow off the moor, and it creates these fantastic habitats, small pools which amphibians and dragonflies will love, and it allows the water through underneath the dams in normal dry weather conditions like those we got at the moment. But when it rains really heavily, these are brimful of water, and they are actually holding back quite a fair quantity of water and letting it release more like a sponge down the catchment. Now, if you just did a couple of these little things, it wouldn't make any significant difference. But if you do these things multiple times over in a small catchment area, then you genuinely can make a difference. And that's what we're doing here at Broughton. These bunds in the moor are just one element of this natural flood management programme here. So the second element of the natural flood management work here at Broughton involves leaky dams on the slopes that are coming off the really high ground. This is essentially doing what probably beavers would do naturally, which is to build structures in a stream that help to hold the water back. But here, in the absence of beavers and in the absence of many trees, we are having to construct these. It involves the stakes being driven into the bank of the river, and then dead wood sourced locally being woven in amongst those stakes. Now what happens is, when you get a real torrent of flow, as we have had earlier this year, some of these dams will get washed out, but others remain. And in this particular section, all of the dams have remained pretty much intact, but they do trap other debris. And if a dam does blow out, that debris then moves on down to the next dam and gets caught. And that's helping to slow the flow as well as creating wildlife habitats. We're reintroducing dead wood and timber back into stream systems, and in a natural wild environment, that's what would happen. Trees would fall into rivers, there would be lots of trees in the landscape, woody debris would fall into rivers, beavers would move it around a bit to construct their lodges and dams, but you would have a lot more trees in rivers than you actually see in this country in this day and age. So this is helping to restore a natural process, but it's also contributing to slowing the flow as part of the natural flood management programme. The third element of natural flood management here at Broughton is this deculverting, daylighting as is sometimes known. And essentially what this involves is the digging out of an old piped stream that was buried underground, probably historically to create extra grazing land for cattle and sheep. But given that we are now transforming this area into woodland and scrub, we don't need that extra space anymore, and it would be great to get the stream back into the landscape. So that's what's happened here. They've dug out the pipe, they've backfilled the slot that the pipe was in, and just allowed the stream to find its way through the landscape down this shallow valley. And it rejoins just downstream there, it rejoins an open channel. So we now have an extra bit of stream. Literally it's a stream restoration project. And some of the time, probably this stream will be dry, it won't be flowing. It's quite dry at the moment, there's a small flow left, but when it rains, this is quite a torrent coming off these hills here. And so this is helping to create more space for water by allowing it to expand out into a shallow valley, gives it more space for the flow. And gradually, as this develops as swampy, wildflower-rich grassland, then it will help to slow the flow because it's acting as a sort of sponge effect again for the stream as the water passes down. I mentioned just then about wildflower rich grassland. I can say that because we have chosen in this specific case to sow wildflower seeds along this damp ground because it's highly unlikely that there are any native wildflowers, wetland wildflowers here because of the long-term intensive agricultural land use in this particular area. So you can imagine with all these trees, imagine in 10, 20 years time when all the plastic guards have been removed and recycled and this is a swampy channel most of the time, it's going to look absolutely fantastic.